If you can't read the thread, start with the chairs. Morning light slid across chrome and coffee steam rose slow. Two boys leaned toward a frayed jacket, smirking at the faded patch. Harold counted sugar packets steady. Lena tipped the pot, her voice calm. If you can't read the thread, start with the chairs. The jukebox found a hymn about coming home. Outside, the flag rasped the pole. The laughter thinned but didn't leave. Nice coat? Grandpa, a boy at the counter, snickered. Thrift store special. Another voice rode the laughter. Bet the patch came with it. Coffee steam rose slow. Harold lowered his gaze to the sugar caddy. 1, 2, 3, he whispered, counting packets. Leave him be, Lena said from behind the pot. She refilled a mug, tilted her head toward the grill. Order up table 3. The boy laughed louder, liking his echo. Come on, mister, what unit is that Halloween? Harold tightened his grip on the jacket. I'm just drinking coffee. Coffee and costume, the second boy muttered. Hey, Lena said steady. Refill. Harold nodded. Please. She set the pot down with a soft clink. Hear that bacon sing, the cook called. The back door sighed. Outside, the flag rasped the pole. Smells like butter back here, he added. The first boy leaned closer. Seriously, what's the patch, one of those online buys? It's a jacket, Harold said. That's all. Looks like a story you made up. Lena slid a slice of pie to a trucker and turned back. Table talk's fine, she said, but let folks eat. Just asking, the second boy said. My uncle's guard. He'd laugh too. Harold took a breath, tasting cinnamon from the pie air metal from the fork. Your uncle ever tell you not every story's loud? Translation. No story, the first boy chuckled. Kid, the trucker said, mind your manners. The boy shrugged, grin fixed. We're just bored. Lena placed napkins by Harold's plate. You boys want something else? Pancakes, sausage? Her smile was warm voice even. The jukebox switched to something older, a tenor singing about coming home. Tell us the unit, the second boy pressed. Or is that patch fake? Harold stared at the chrome band. Steady hands, he murmured half to himself. Some things you keep to yourself. Because they're not real, the first boy said. Lena let a breath slip. I think it's because breakfast is better hot than cold. She tapped the order bell. Eat. Storm holding off the trucker said. Harold shifted, and the jacket's shoulder pulled just enough for the patch to show faded thread, an outline no catalog would print. Lena noticed the way a nurse notices a fever. See, the first boy crowed. Just a scrap. Harold set his cup down. Scraps can hold a life, he said. Yours will someday. Sir Lena said quietly. You want warm-up? He nodded. Thank you. As she poured, she spoke to the boys without looking. You know where the parade forms, post office lot. You could help set chairs. Chairs, the second boy groaned. We're not 80. Courtesy isn't an age, the trucker said. Yes, ma'am, the second boy said softer. We can help after we eat. Good start, Lena replied. Start with listening. We are, the first boy said, not quite smiling. The first boy rolled his eyes. Fine. After Mister tells us his unit. We hear you, he added. We'll drop by the post office after school, set chairs. Harold folded the jacket closer. He heard the sizzle of eggs, the bell on the kitchen door, the hum of the neon open. Breakfast, he said, is what I came for. Then eat, Lena said. Talk later. Fine, the first boy muttered, but quieter. The counter quieted. Special today, Lena said. Country ham, 2 eggs, grits if you're brave. Grits, the second boy said. Never tried them. You might like them, Lena said. Salt, pepper, little butter. I'll try, he said. Me too, the first boy added. You always this bossy, ma'am, the second boy asked. Only when folks forget how to be decent. Listen, the farmer said. That old song knows the road. Look, the first boy said, trying again. People who really did something don't wear it like a billboard. Lena set the pot down. Sometimes people who did something wear what they have left. Enough now, the woman in the booth said, small and careful. Harold folded $1 under his saucer for the refill, added another. Sir Lena said gentler. Give me the jacket a second. I'll hang it where the heat won't catch. Harold hesitated, then eased it off. The patch flashed again, a modest flare, no trumpet, just thread, remembering. He handed it to her. Thank you, he said. Of course. Coffee's perfect, Harold said. She carried the jacket to a peg by the pie case. Safer here, she said. The boys watched and didn't speak. At the register, the bell chimed. Somebody came in, boots crisp on tile. Morning, a voice said, easy but firm. Lena glanced up, felt the air change, but she kept her smile. Another coffee, she asked Harold. Yes, ma'am, he said, steady now. The flag lifted. Inside, the laughter thinned to a ribbon and drifted away. The diner settled into its late morning hum, a steady weave of plates, low voices, and the soft syrup of an oldies station nodding toward Memorial Day. Lena hung Harold's jacket on the peg by the pie case, smoothing the sleeve so the heat from the grill wouldn't lick it. The patch showed more fully, now faded thread. An outline time had softened, but not erased. Ma'am, the first boy said, watching her hands. You hang a costume like it's crystal. It's cloth, Lena said, calm. But some cloth deserves careful. The second boy leaned his elbow into the counter. Army surplus, $5 a bin. Harold kept his eyes on his coffee. Prices keep rising, he said, even for bins. Surplus, the first boy repeated, testing the word like gum. So your patch is too. Lena slid a small saucer toward Harold and tucked $1 he'd left beneath it. Tip belongs to the pot, she said softly. Thank you. You don't have to, Harold began. I know what I have to do, she said. Refill, yes, please. He shifted one palm, drifting toward the peg, as if to shield the sleeve. The radio gave a gentle crackle and spun a slow chorus. A voice sang about letters home and Sunday kitchens. The smell of butter and pepper rose from the grill like a memory. That's not just an old jacket, Lena said mostly to the air, but the boys heard. What is it then? The first boy's grin thinned. Legend. It's a jacket, Harold answered. I told you. Tell us the story, the second boy pushed, if there is one. Some stories are heavy, Harold said. You don't pass them across a counter. The first boy tapped the formica. You could try. We've got time. We also have orders, Lena said, setting down 2 plates. Pancakes for you both. Syrup's warm. The second boy sniffed. Smells good. Better when you mind your words, the trucker added from his stool. Eat first. Harold reached for his cup. Thank you for hanging it, he told Lena. She nodded. The peg's oak. Old wood holds weight. Like the jacket, the first boy said. Like the folks who wear them, she replied. Hey, the second boy said, pointing with his fork. The patch is crooked. Harold's hand rose, stopped halfway, then fell. Threads wander, he said, like people. Crooked means cheap, the first boy declared. See, it's a knockoff. Eat, Lena said, smiling just enough to soften the edge. You'll need strength. Parade chairs don't set themselves. You still on that, he groaned. Post office lot, she said. Start at the far curb. Leave space for the seniors. We're not chair boys, the first boy muttered. You're boys who can carry a chair, the trucker said. That's decent enough. Lena topped off Harold's cup. You okay? I will be, Harold said. Coffee helps. Coffee helps a lot, she agreed. Sugar no, he said. Steady hands. The song on the radio drifted to a bridge, a tenor pulling the word home like thread through fabric. Somewhere outside, the flag talked softly with the pole. So if it isn't surplus, the second boy tried again. What's the patch stand for? Harold lifted his cup, then set it down. Standing, he said. That's what it stands for. Standing where the first boy challenged. In places you don't film, Harold answered. The second boy's fork stilled. My uncle says that. Your uncle's right, Lena said. He also taught you not to poke strangers, I bet. He teases, the boy said. We tease back. There's teasing, she said, and there's wearing your voice like boots on someone's heart. The first boy snorted. He's fine. Lena met his eyes. He is patient. That's different. Harold tugged at his sleeve. I'm fine, he said. Let them talk. We're learning, the second boy said more to himself than anyone. Good, Lena said. People who learn get trusted. Trusted to do what he asked. To show up, she answered. To stand when standing matters. The first boy cut into his pancakes. Standing's easy. Sometimes it is, Harold said. Sometimes it takes everything you have. The diner breathed. Plates whispered against laminate. Someone laughed at a joke in the corner booth, but it didn't spill across the room this time. The sound stayed where it belonged. The second boy glanced at the peg. So you ever wear it to the parade? Harold shook his head. I go early. Help where hands are needed. Chairs, Lena said with a small nod toward the door. Far curb. We'll help, the second boy said. I said we would. The first boy sighed, but it came out smaller than before. Fine. We'll help. Thank you, Harold said. You're welcome, the second boy replied, surprising himself. The radio eased into a commercial, then back to a softer song, an old recording with a little hiss. You hear that? The trucker said. They don't make microphones like that anymore. They still make voices, Lena said. That's what matters. The first boy leaned in again, but his voice had lost its hard laugh. So, did you stitch that patch yourself? Harold shook his head. Someone else did. Long ago, why keep it on there? The second boy asked. It's worn out. So am I, Harold said, then smiled. But I still hold. Lena placed a glass of water by each plate. Salt makes you thirsty, she said. Drink. Yes, ma'am, the boys replied together, a little startled. The bell over the door chimed. A couple came in talking about the price of sweet corn and the choir practicing after lunch. The woman's hand brushed the jacket on the peg as she passed a fingertip on the faded thread, a small, unthinking blessing. You sure you don't want it at your seat? Lena asked Harold. I can bring it. It's safer there, he said. Heat won't pull at it. Okay, she said. I'll keep an eye. Thank you, he said again. Stop thanking me, Lena answered, but gently. Just enjoy your coffee. The first boy swallowed and set down his fork. My uncle says patches aren't trophies. He's right, Harold said. They're reminders of what the second boy asked, of people Harold said, of promises kept. The radio host mentioned the parade route, the moment of silence, the choir in the church hall. Doors open at 2, the host said. Bring a neighbor. That you? Lena asked the trucker. You going? Wouldn't miss it, he said. Got a chair saved for my mother's friend. See, Lena said to the boys. Chairs matter. Okay, the first boy said. Chairs matter. He looked back at the jacket. The patch seemed somehow less crooked now. Or maybe his eyes had learned to find the shape inside the fade. You ever get tired of people asking? The second boy asked Harold. Sometimes Harold said. But I remember I asked once, too. Asked who the first boy said. Men who weren't old yet, Harold said. They answered with their time. He lifted his cup again, hands steady. Lena watched the way he held it, as if the weight taught him something each time. The doorbell chimed once more, a crisp sound that carried. Footsteps paused. For a breath, the air shifted as if the diner had taken a small, expectant step toward the peg by the pie case. Lena didn't look over. She kept her place behind the counter, voice low, posture. Easy, the way you stand near a window when you know a change in weather is coming. She checked Harold's cup, checked the boys' plates, and listened to the radio's gentle hiss, the hum of a town waking to the shape of the day. Eat up, she said, smiling. Then go meet those chairs. They nodded almost in unison. The boys ate. Harold sipped. The jacket hung quiet as breath. The patch weighted a small square of thread that once seen refused to be unseen. The bell over the door gave a tired creak as Harold stood. He reached for the peg, touched the jacket, and let it hang a second longer. The patch caught a slant of light, then slipped back into shadow. You leaving, Lena? Asked soft. For a minute, Harold said. Air helps. I'll keep the coffee warm, she said. And the jacket safe. Thank you, he replied. Behind him, the first boy snorted. Air helps. Sure. Maybe it clears fake thread, the second boy added. Eat, Lena said without turning. You'll need those chairs. Harold stepped outside. The flag rattled the pole like loose change. Heat hadn't set in yet. A small town breeze carried cut grass and bakery sugar. Across the street, a radio on a neighbor's porch hummed a choir rehearsal, thin at first, then full a braid of voices. He paused at the curb. Just a walk, he told himself. Just a swing. Sir, a woman called from the post office bench. You going to the hall later? I'll be around, Harold said. You singing? Wouldn't miss it, she said. Heard they're dedicating a board. Good, he said. Boards remember the forgettable. He crossed toward a small white house where a porch swing drifted like a slow clock. The chain squeaked once when he sat. Wood gave its old sigh. He listened. The choir worked the word home until it shone. A boy on a bicycle rolled by and hovered. Mister, he said, you from around here long enough, Harold answered. My granddad says he knew you, the boy said. He fixes mowers. He fixes mine sometimes, Harold said. Good man. You going to the parade? The boy asked. I'll help set chairs, Harold said. Far curb, the boy grinned. Mom says we're bringing lemonade. Want one? Save it for the singers, Harold said. They'll need it. He watched the street carry its errands. A mail truck sighed to a stop. A pickup rattled past with flags in the bed. The town moved like a tune everybody knew, each part small and necessary. He told the swing, some days are heavier. A neighbor rapped the porch rail with a knuckle. You all right, Harold? I am, he said. Lena runs a good diner. She keeps boys in line. The neighbor chuckled. They're just loud, Harold said. They'll learn. Most do. The neighbor said. Need anything? I'm fine, Harold said. Thank you. The choir on the radio blended into a held note. Someone missed their pitch, laughed, and tried again. He smiled at that. Try again, he whispered. That's most of life. From the diner, another creak. The door opened. Voices spilled, then thinned. A man's step sounded different, heels set, pace measured, as if the room were both familiar and worthy of care. Inside, Lena looked up. Morning, she said. Morning, the man answered. His voice was easy, but it carried habit. He wore a simple field jacket, clean boots, a cap with no slogan. He removed the cap at the threshold and held it by the bill. Coffee, Lena asked. Yes, please, he said. Black. At the counter, the first boy smirked. Another jacket, he whispered. Must be a club. Shh, the second boy said. He looks like my uncle's boss. Lena poured. Cream if you change your mind, she said. Old habits, the man said. He glanced toward the peg by the pie case. His gaze stopped focused and did not move. The room felt it even before anyone named it. The trucker turned on his stool. You all right, sir? I am, the man said. His eyes stayed on the jacket. Is the owner here? Stepped out, Lena said. Back soon. Outside, Harold stood from the swing. He touched the porch post, patted his pocket for nothing in particular, and walked back toward the chrome and glass. The choir swelled behind him, then dropped to the low hum of a second verse. At the counter, the first boy tried the old tone again. Nice jacket, mister. Surplus aisle. The man looked at him without heat. Some cloth is earned, he said. The second boy swallowed. We were just learning, Lena supplied. We were learning to be quiet. May I? The man asked her, nodding toward the peg. You may look, Lena said. He trusts me with it. I see that, the man said. He moved closer, not touching, only reading the faded thread the way some read hymnals. The diner hum softened. A fork set down sounded louder than it should. At the door, Harold paused, catching his reflection in the glass. He saw a man smaller than the jacket deserved, and smiled at the truth of it. Air helps, he said again, then pushed inside. The bell chimed. The first boy turned, saw Harold, and reached for grin out of habit. The second boy didn't. He watched the man by the peg instead. Sir Lena said to Harold, Your coffee waited. Good coffee keeps, Harold said. Thank you. He stepped toward his stool. The man by the peg stepped between him and the jacket, not blocking, not claiming, just present. Something in the set of his shoulders changed the room's breath. The first boy couldn't help himself. So what is it? He asked. That patch army surplus, the second boy muttered, though softer now. The man by the peg turned his head. Boys, he said, look closely. At what the first boy said. At the way time sits in thread, the man said. At the way hands carry years. Lena folded a napkin and set it on the counter. Eat, please. Harold stopped beside her. I can take the jacket, he said. It's okay. It is, the man said. It's more than okay. You know him, the trucker asked the man. Not yet, the man said. But I know that patch. The radio in the corner found an old trumpet line, bright and low. Conversations thinned to a narrow stream, and then to single drops. Even the grill quieted, as if the eggs agreed to rest. Sir Lena said to the man, Can I get you anything else? Just a moment, he said. Got a name? The first boy asked, defiant in a whisper. Most folks call me Victor, the man said. Most days I listen more than I speak. Victor Lena repeated, tasting the syllables. Welcome. Harold's hand hovered near the jacket. He didn't take it. He looked at Victor, then at Lena, then at the boys, and finally at the small square of cloth that had started the morning. Outside, the flag snapped once and settled. Inside, the diner waited the way a congregation waits between the last note and the benediction. Sir Victor said, eyes on the patch, voice steady. May I stand here a second longer? You may. Harold said. The first boy shifted on his stool. What's happening? Something you should remember, Lena said. The bell over the door was still. The air held its breath. Victor set his cap on the counter and squared himself to the peg, not touching, not yet. His gaze stayed where respect lives before it finds words. The diner hush deepened by a shade, as if the room itself understood that the next beat mattered. Victor didn't touch the jacket. He faced it the way a man faces a headstone hat on the counter boots. Square breath measured. The diner's hum lowered like someone turned a knob from chat to chapel. Lena wiped a clean circle on the stainless and set Victor's cup within it. Coffee, she said quietly. Thank you, he answered, eyes still on the patch. The first boy shifted on his stool. What's he doing? Watching, Lena said. Learning. The second boy swallowed. Feels weird in here. The trucker leaned in. Feels right. Harold stood at his stool, hands at his sides. He didn't reach for the peg. He didn't defend or explain. He let the quiet say what he had never said out loud. Victor breathed once, deep and even. Then he stepped back a single pace, heels together. His cap remained on the counter. His spine rose that last inch memory gives to muscle. He looked at the faded square of cloth as if it were a standard at dusk. The boys went still. Sir Lena said, softer than steam, Do you need? He did not need anything. He needed to do this. The room felt it. He set his feet, drew a measured breath, and snapped to attention so clean the air clicked. Someone's fork clinked on porcelain. Then nothing. Even the grill held its sizzle. The radio, as if it had ears, found a low brass line and stayed there steady as a heartbeat. Harold's throat worked. He didn't move. His eyes brightened the way eyes do when past and present touch hands. The first boy whispered, What's happening? Watch. Lena replied. Victor's right hand rose, precise and unhurried, fingers together, palm down. His hand found the brim that was not on his head. It didn't matter. The salute is not a costume. It is a promise kept in muscle. He held the angle for a breath, then lowered slow and exact. Silence held. General, why are you standing? The second boy blurted before he could stop himself. Victor turned his head slightly. Because he already did, he said. He faced the patch again. Because when someone stands that long, the rest of us can spare a minute. Harold exhaled. The sound was small and full. He looked at Lena, then at the boys, then back to Victor. I didn't. He stopped. He did not need to finish the sentence. Victor broke attention, but not respect. He took a half step toward Harold. May I know your name, sir? Harold Keaton, Harold said. Just Harold. Just is a small word, Victor said. It does not fit you. Lena's eyes shone, but she kept her hands steady on the puh. Coffee, Harold. Yes, he said, voice rough. Please. The first boy slid off his stool and stood, not sure why, only sure that sitting felt wrong. The second boy followed. I'm sorry, sir, the first boy said, words tripping. We. It looked like cloth, Harold said. That's all right. Cloth is what you can see. Victor nodded. And duty is what you can't. The radio eased into a chorus. Someone at the back, an older woman with a church bulletin folded in her purse, placed a hand over her heart. Not a performance. A reflex. Mr. Keaton, Victor said, voice low. I know that patch, or what it stands for. You carried more than yourself. Harold lifted a palm, not to disagree, only to slow the praise. We carried each other, he said. On good days. On the other days, Lena asked gently. We tried again, Harold said. Victor looked at the boys. That's the lesson, he said. Not noise, not swagger, again. The first boy nodded hard. Yes, sir. The second boy swallowed. Yes, sir. Don't sir me yet, Victor said, almost smiling. Earn it with chairs. They almost laughed, and the spell did not break. It deepened. The laughter belonged this time. It knew its size. Victor turned to Harold. There is a thing among those of us who served, he said. When we meet a man who carried more than his share, we tell him so. Out loud. In daylight. Harold stood straighter without meaning to. I carried what was handed to me, he said. So did others better than me. It's not a contest, Victor replied. It's a ledger of thanks. He reached into his inside pocket and brought out a small rectangle of clean card, the kind a person brings when he expects to speak softly and be beloved. He wrote a number, then a name, Victor Hale. He put the card on the counter, not sliding it, just placing it where a hand could find it without ceremony. If anybody gives you grief, he said to Lena without taking his eyes from Harold, you call that number. Or if there's a bill here that needs settling, and pride won't let a man take help. Lena blinked once. Yes, sir. Today, Victor continued, please put Harold's breakfast on me. Yes, sir, Lena said again, warmer now. Gladly. Harold shook his head. You don't have to. I know, Victor said. I get to. Harold's mouth trembled. He closed it, opened it, then found the old, simple words. Thank you. Don't thank me, Victor said. Let me thank you. The trucker shifted, cleared his throat. General, he said, if it's not stepping on a moment, the parade folks are short on volunteers. They won't be, Victor said. He looked at the boys. You two have plans. Yes, sir, they answered, almost in chorus. Post office lot, the second boy added. Far curb, the first boy echoed. Victor finally looked at the jacket, as if it were a person he had been meaning to greet properly. May I, he asked Harold. You may, Harold said. Victor lifted the jacket not by the patch, not by the collar, but by the weight of the whole. He turned it so the room could see the square not as decoration, but as record. Some threads, he said, were dyed in days we don't speak of at breakfast, and some morning's breakfast is exactly the place to honor them. He held the jacket for Harold. Harold slipped his arms through as if he had done it 1,000 times, and somehow also for the first time. The cloth settled. The patch rested where it had always rested over the quiet hammer of a steady heart. Lena drew a breath that sounded like relief. She set Harold's cup within reach. Warm, she said. Warm, he agreed. The first boy stepped forward. His voice reached for gravity and found sincerity instead. Mr. Keaton, he said, aye oui. I'm sorry for being dumb. Harold looked at him a long second. You were young, he said. Use it well. We will, the second boy said. We'll show up. Victor checked his watch out of habit. he probably couldn't break. "I'll be at the hall by 2, he said. "There's talk of a board. Names. Maybe a patch or two under glass. We could use someone who knows why threads fray where they do." "I'll come," Harold said. "Good," Victor answered. "Bring that patience with you. We'll need it." He saluted again, not as ceremony now, but as benediction, shorter, warmer, still exact. Then he lowered his hand and offered it palm open. "Transfer," he said simply. Harold understood. He put his palm against Victor's for a brief second. It was not a handshake. It was the passing of something invisible and heavy and good. When their hands parted, some burden had changed owners without being dropped. Lena touched the saucer where Harold's dollar sat. She slid it back toward him. "On the house," she said. "And on his." Harold nodded. "On us," he said. "All of us." The radio found a snatch of an old patriotic hymn, not loud, just enough brass to lift the ceiling a thumb's width. Outside, the flag took a breath. Inside, the room remembered how to breathe with it. "Eat," Victor told the boys, tone lighter. "Then carry those chairs like they're worth something." "They are," the second boy said. "They are," the first boy repeated. And this time he meant it. Victor picked up his cap. He didn't put it on yet. He tucked the card back into his pocket, left his payment beneath the cup, and stood aside so Harold could reclaim his stool. "I'll see you this afternoon," he said. "You will," Harold answered. Victor nodded to Lena. "Ma'am." "Sir," she said, and her smile said the rest. The diner's hush loosened. Sounds returned, smaller but clearer, as if someone had cleaned the glass between the room and the day. Forks resumed their tiny songs. The grill sighed back to work. Conversation returned at a lower volume, stitched with care. Harold lifted his cup with the jacket on his shoulders, found the weight right, and took a sip. It tasted like coffee and something steadier. Victor turned toward the door. At the bell he paused, glanced back at the peg, and then at the patch resting where it belonged. He touched 2 fingers to his temple, not to himself this time, and stepped out into the light. No one clapped. No one needed to. Respect you can hear is worth less than the kind you can feel. The boys went back to their plates, quick bites now, urgency in the butter and syrup. The trucker hailed the cook. The older woman flicked her bulletin open, dabbed a quiet eye, and smiled at the page she would save. Lena leaned on her palms and looked at Harold. He looked back. Neither spoke. They didn't have to. The jacket kept its place on his shoulders. The patch kept its meaning. The room kept the moment folded once and put where it would not be lost. The church hall smelled of lemon oil and old wood. Folding chairs made a soft thunder as they opened in rows. Sunlight came through tall windows, laying long, pale rectangles on the floor. The choir gathered at the risers, murmuring names they wanted to hold steady that afternoon. Lena walked in with a cardboard box and a determined face. "Programs," she said to the usher, "and cups for lemonade." "Bless you," the usher replied. We were short. Victor was already there, jacket off, sleeves neat. He stood beside a long table under a banner of crepe paper and care. At the table's center, a shadow box weighted glass, clean matting, fresh a small brass plate not yet filled. The peg the box would hang from was anchored in the wall with a care that said permanence. Harold came quietly, hat in his hands, jacket on his shoulders. He stopped a few steps inside the door. The room noticed without turning. "Rooms know," Sir Victor said, crossing to meet him. "Thank you for coming." I said I would. Harold answered. "I try to keep the easy promises." "These don't feel easy," Victor said, half smiling. "Then we hold them together," Harold said. The boys from the diner slipped along the wall, a little too dressed hair, a little too combed. They carried a stack of folded chairs, as if it were penance and privilege both. "Far curb," the first boy whispered, seeing Harold's glance. "You did it?" Harold asked. "We did," the second boy said. "Every chair." "Good," Harold said. "That matters." Lena came close, lowering her voice. "There's a spot on the board," she said. "If you want it. No pressure." "It isn't for me," Harold said. "It's for the patch," Victor answered. "And for what it stood for when cloth was all you had left to show." The choir director tapped a tuning note on the piano. Voices arced up, then settled. The hum of the room gathered itself like a breath before a prayer. At the back, the postmaster and 2 clerks stepped in, bringing the faint smell of paper and glue. "Lines already forming out there," the postmaster murmured to no one in particular. "Folks are talking about breakfast." "What are they saying?" Lena asked. "That it went quiet at the right time," he said. "That sometimes a salute is louder than a shout." Victor nodded once. "Amen." The usher lifted the shadow box lid. Inside, a velvet field waited. Victor looked to Harold. "If you're willing," he said, "we'd like to place it now." Harold touched the jacket at the shoulder. "I wore it here," he said. "I can lend it there." "Lend is a good word," Victor said. Lena stood beside them, eyes on Harold's hands. "Do you want me to?" "I can," Harold said. He undid 3 careful stitches, not tearing, just freeing a corner where time had tugged. The patch yielded like a memory forgiven. He placed it in Victor's waiting palm. The boys stepped closer, almost holding their breath. "Sir," the first boy said, should we?" "You can watch," Harold said. "That's a job too." Victor set the patch on the velvet and smoothed the edge with the lightest pressure. "Steady," he said softly to the cloth, and maybe to himself. "Steady." The choir director lifted his hands. The hall found its hush. A single soprano gave the first note, small and bright. The choir climbed into it, one voice becoming 2, then many, the sound of people choosing each other. The usher signaled. Victor lifted the shadow box, and the postmaster helped him settle it onto the waiting peg. The glass caught the light. The little brass plate under the frame had 4 words engraved, already filled. "Quiet thanks held here." Lena read it and swallowed once. "That's right," she said. Victor stepped back. "Mr. Keaton," he said, not to announce, only to invite. Harold approached the board. He didn't touch the glass. He stood the way men stand when the thing in front of them is fragile and strong at the same time. He bowed his head once, a motion small as breath. The first boy cleared his throat. "Mr. Keaton, yes," Harold said. "I'm sorry," the boy said. "For breakfast. For all of it." "Me too," the second boy said. "We were wrong." Harold looked at them both. "You were young," he said. "Your apology is work. Keep doing work like that." "We will," the first boy said. "We'll show up." "We have lemonade duty," the second boy added, almost proud. "Then everyone will forgive you twice," Lena said, the corner of her mouth lifting. From the door, the older woman with the church bulletin stepped forward. "Sir," she said, hand light on Harold's sleeve, "you don't know me. My brother's name is on the old board. He would have liked to have coffee with you." "Then I'll drink one for him," Harold said. "Hot. Black." "Thank you," she said. Victor faced the small, gathered knot of neighbors and spoke without microphone. "We put thread under glass today," he said. "We are not museum people. We are market mailbox mower people. But sometimes you put a thing behind glass so the busy doesn't rub the meaning off." Heads nodded, not in unison, but together. He looked at the boys. Tell them what you heard this morning. The first boy's mouth went dry, then found words. This patch saved lives, he said. The sentence surprised him by how it fit in his mouth. The second boy added, and the person wearing it did too. A small sound moved through the chairs, not quite applause. The choir director lifted his hand, and the choir offered a verse meant for days like this, soft brass in the piano, a harmony that knew the names it carried even if it didn't say them. Lena leaned toward Harold. Okay. Better than okay, Harold said. This sits right. Victor glanced toward the post office windows where people had begun to queue, careful and close. They'll bring their whispers here, he said. Let them. Whispers can be holy if they carry respect. The postmaster smiled. We'll point them to the board. We've got pens for notes. Notes, Lena asked. We're starting a habit, the postmaster said. Quiet thank yous, strapped to the cork with tags, not hashtags. I like tags, Harold said. So do I, Victor replied. The choir's last chord hung for a single stubborn beat before the director lowered his hand. Someone at the back, maybe the trucker, maybe someone who had been there all along, began a light applause. It spread in careful ripples, never loud enough to drown the moment, just enough to carry it. Lena stepped back and let the sound do its work. She watched Harold's face shift through something like grief and land at something like peace. Sir, the usher said we'd be honored if you'd sign the guest book. Harold lifted the pen. Do I write what I did? He asked. Write what you want, the usher said. Harold considered, then wrote his name and 2 words beneath it. Show up. Victor read it, nodding. Perfect. The boys lingered, unsure where to put their hands. Harold made it easy. Help the post office with notes, he said. Carry more chairs than you think you can. Yes, sir, they answered. Lena squeezed Harold's elbow. After this, she said, coffee's waiting. On the house, he asked, teasing because the room could hold it. On the town, she said. On us. He bowed his head again, smaller than before, and let the gratitude settle without fuss. Outside, the flag lifted and fell with the warm breeze. Inside, the board kept its quiet, the patch steady under glass. Justice here did not shout. It stood. It sang. It made room. The VA clinic's hallway smelled faintly of floor wax and coffee in paper cups. Afternoon light slanted through the high windows, landed in a warm square just where the new legacy board hung. The brass picture lights above it glowed a soft honey, no glare, just enough to let the glass breathe. Harold came without hurry, jacket on, hat in his hand. The nurse at the desk looked up, recognized the face from the church hall, and pointed down the corridor with a smile that didn't need words. His steps were steady. He paused once to let a volunteer push a cart by a pot of geraniums, a stack of magazines, a jar labeled Quiet Thanks, with a few folded notes already inside. Mr. Keaton, the volunteer asked. Yes, Harold said. Your patch sits right, she said, under the light. It's where it should be, he answered. At the board, the shadow box from the church hall had found a permanent home. The matting was the same. The small brass plate still read, Quiet Thanks, held here. But the wall gave it something new belonging. The light turned the faded thread warm, as if the years inside it had learned to rest. Lena arrived a step behind him with a to-go cup. I promised coffee, she said. Hot. Black. You keep your promises, Harold said. I like easy promises, she replied. Victor stood with the clinic director sleeves neat as always, cap in hand. Beside them, A simple frame announced the start of a scholarship. One page, few words, no fanfare. Silent Hands Scholarship. For a local student entering nursing or allied health, chosen for steadiness, kindness, and the courage to show up. Looks right, Lena said, reading. Short. True. It's a beginning, Victor said. The clinic director nodded. We'll add names beneath each year. One line at a time. Harold studied the patch under glass. He could see the crooked stitch he'd always meant to fix, and never had the way the thread took a hard turn and then corrected itself like a man learning his way. He didn't reach for the glass. He let seeing be enough. Sir, the director said, we'd like you to make the first note. She held out a card and a pen, plain cardstock, no seal. Harold took it. He wrote slowly, print neat the way he'd trained it to be, when neatness meant more than preference. He wrote the same 2 words he had written in the guest book, then underlined them once. Show up. Lena taped the card to the cork strip beneath the board. There, she said. Right where folks can find it when their hands shake, a man in a postal shirt stepped through the door with a small bundle of envelopes. From the box at the counter, he said. People started writing right there in line. Good, Victor said. Let the mail carry what it does best. They read a few notes without reading all thanks in tidy cursive, thanks in block letters, thanks from a child whose pencil marks pressed hard. Thank you for standing still when you could have walked away. Someone else had drawn a tiny chair. The choir director walked in, laughed softly at finding herself in a place with no risers. I brought the names we carried, she said. She slid a folded list into the jar marked Quiet Thanks. Names like anchors, she added. They'll hold, Harold said. Sir, the first boy from the diner said, appearing at the doorway with his friend, hair a little better than usual again. We brought what we owe. What's that? Harold asked. 2 more chairs for the lobby, the second boy said, each gripping an aluminum fold-up like a trophy, and not like a trophy at all. Far curb. He grinned at using the phrase right. They'll be used, the director said. The boys stood awkward for a beat. We also put $5 each in the jar, the first boy said. For the scholarship. It's not much. It's the first, Lena said. Firsts are worth more than their size. Victor nodded. Besides, you'll carry more than money in your lives. Like chairs, the second boy said. Like chairs, Harold agreed. They set the chairs by the waiting room wall. The aluminum legs made a small, honest scrape on the tile. Someone behind the desk smiled and placed a thin cushion on each seat, without comment, the kind of care that makes care easier. The clinic director turned a switch, and the brass lights whispered a little brighter, then settled. Under that steady gleam, the patch looked less like proof and more like promise. A few visitors drifted over, reading the plate, lowering their voices without being told. Sir, the nurse at the desk said to Harold, Would you like a photo? No need, Harold said. It's already in the right place. Take one for the folks who can't come in, Lena suggested, for the library board. All right, he said. He stood to the side, not in front, and let the light claim the subject. Lena raised her phone, then lowered it, then raised it again, making sure the glass didn't throw glare. The picture caught the patch, the small brass plate, and just the edge of Harold's sleeve story, told without shouting. Victor checked his watch out of habit, then put it away. We've got time, he said to no one and to everyone. Outside, late sun turned the parking lot gold. A breeze came through the open door and found the metal chain of a porch swing somewhere down the block. It creaked once, the sound of an afternoon promising to hold. From a nearby house, a radio drifted to the edge of station, soft static, a voice fading with grace. Feels like the day knows how to end, Lena said. It learned, Harold said. So did we. The first boy looked at the scholarship frame again. Who picks? He asked. A small committee, the director said. One nurse, one veteran, one neighbor. Pick someone who says yes when asked, the second boy said. We will, Victor said. Maybe that someone is listening. They grew quiet together, a circle of people who'd started the morning as strangers and arrived at evening as something steadier. No benediction, no ribbon cut, just the board, the light, the jar, the chairs, the notes. Harold lifted the coffee Lena had brought. It had cooled some, but he didn't mind. He took a sip and let the warmth sit. He watched a young man at the far end of the hall stop in front of the glass, bend his head and straighten his shoulders as if a message had found him. Ready to go, Mr. Keaton? Lena asked. In a minute, he said. She didn't press. Victor didn't either. They let quiet be company. When Harold finally turned, he touched 2 fingers to the brim of his hat. Old habit, simple thanks, and took one last look at the square of thread under the honeyed light. Nothing grand, nothing loud. Enough. For once, I'm exactly where I should be. The porch swing creaked again, distant and kind. The radio slid into a hush of static, and then into silence that felt full, not empty the way a good day ends when it has said what it came to say. A quiet afternoon closed with sunlight pooling across the clinic floor, the board glowing softly under its brass lamps, while neighbors left folded notes like refills of gratitude. The outrage that once rang in a diner had shifted into justice and respect, became the steady hum of a town that finally chose to listen. Kindness freely given without demand works like a thread in a quilt. Small stitches that bind strangers into family, never meant to impress, only to hold. The framed patch, worn and simple, reminded every passerby that real strength is measured not in noise but in presence, and community honor endures when people refuse to look away. For once he was exactly where he should be.